Hello everyone, welcome to a nice little flat world sort of test example. So I figured I would show you a little bit of the work that's going on behind Delta. So as we know, Delta is a sort of a hybrid kind of survival world where you can run around, build your house, grab all the stuff you need and that kind of thing. But one of the things that people really liked asking me for in the replies from the first initial version was that they wanted more structured content. So the way I've figured that out is that I'm adding things like dungeons and shrines and such. So let's take a look at the Maze of Tobor Inebriated. These are all just perfect examples. So here we are in a nice little box. And in a moment, yeah, the Divine Arbiter has indicated to us that we are headed here. So let's take a look at the maze, and Tobar the Drunk and Lazy, it would say. But we get our block of lapis, and we are back in the overworld. So what happened there was I was teleported into the end, as you can see. I'm now back out of adventure mode, which I can probably demonstrate a little better by going to Forgotten Realm. So here we are again. So once again, we are back in the end here at the moment, and the Divine Arbiter is going to, yep. There we are. Evidently I need to work on the teleporting, but that's fine. So now you'll notice that I'm in adventure mode, which is a problem inside of Delta, because Delta's done in survival. So if I put people into adventure mode, they can't really do anything. They can't even really activate redstone for the most part. So, yep. Let me just hop back to the other world. Yep, another block of lapis, another trip through the portal. And I'll show you exactly what's going on. So, game mode 1. And hop into the end. Now the end portal will always take you to the exact same place. Yep. So it's always going to teleport me to the top of this obsidian platform. Now one slight reminder I noticed in making this is that the platform respawns whenever you come through, so I can't have any like specific decoration to it. It has to be this. Although I can probably change the ceiling a bit. And then above that is another portal. So it's sort of just like the exit portal when you kill a dragon. So after that we have these sort of test dungeons, and we have this little timer system, which is again triggering with a fairly common little circuit here. It's a momentary check of a given command setting. So over here we are checking if there is anyone here, so test for any players around that point within about 4 blocks. So it's about the center of that platform, 4 blocks, and then it's running it simple along here, and it's checking for your score in a certain variable, specifically dungeon ID. And if it meets a certain, if it's a certain value, then you get teleported to a certain location according to what your value is. So all the dungeons here have a different ID value, which then causes you to be teleported to the correct portion inside of the end. So basically, I have taken the existing end dimension in Minecraft, and I've converted it into a sort of dungeon hub. And this has some specific advantages, a couple of flaws which I'll talk about at the end of this. And the main advantage is that it means I can have a survival world where I can then also have structured content like these dungeons that the players can't mess with. It also means that the dungeons are completely separated from anything that I should happen to momentarily do inside of the overworld. For example, the intro sequence of the overworld is performed in peaceful, whereas the dungeons you would expect to be played in at least easy. So I can set the overworld to peaceful, and it will have no effect on the dungeons until someone actually comes here, at which point I can then quickly change things over before I teleport it over. So these dungeons are right next to where you spawn in, but they don't need to be. But that's another slight issue I need to mention, which is that unlike the overworld, the spawn chunks, which is to say the area around this obsidian platform, aren't loaded constantly. So I have all this wiring next to it, and that has to be here, but anything specific to the actual functioning of the dungeons needs to be with the dungeons. That's not a huge issue, but it's something to consider. So yeah, I can have whatever I want running for each dungeon, and I can have it all be entirely separate to the overworld, and when someone dies, they'll go happily back to the overworld, and if I hop through this hole to get back here. Okay, and once you come back here, inside of the ye olde dirt pod I have here, we have this little circuit which you would have at spawn. So it's a clock with a quick little pulsar, and all it does is change your game mode to survival if you happen to be in adventure mode, and it also sets your dungeon ID to 0, because if you end up in the end by some strange miracle, which is because there's no end portal inside of Delta, but you could conceivably find one, I suppose, if you were playing things off strangely. Then all it does is teleport me directly up and through that portal again. Or of course you can then watch the exit to Minecraft, or you can hit escape to get back here. And that puts you back at spawn, which in Delta would also teleport you to your spawn setting, most likely. So that handles if you should die or leave under any circumstance. So if you die in a dungeon because there's lots of enemies that are dangerous there, then you'll come back, you'll be set back to survival mode, and you can go about your merry way. And also if you leave, then it'll do the same thing. So like if you complete the dungeon, you'll go out of adventure mode. So we can change the game mode of a player, and we don't have to worry too much about it getting stuck, because they'll handle itself automatically there. And the way that it works here is we've got these two little, we have these two command blocks to handle these two things. So the first thing it does is it sets your score in dungeon ID to the appropriate ID for the given dungeon, and then it just teleports you directly into that end portal. In theory, I could have a little end portal near the actual entryways to the dungeons, but it's probably a bit more efficient to just have one, and just have the teleporter there anyway, because either way you're going to go into it. Although there's a bunch of different ways that you could actually go into the different dungeons. So, for example, you could have one of these, you could have this scoreboard command block setting anyone who comes within a certain range of a specific end portal, and then you can just jump into the portal yourself without having to need a second command block. So there's a bunch of versatility you could have with it, but the main thing that I enjoy about this is that it means I can have all of my dungeons and not have to worry about anything I do or add to the overworld interfering with it. Especially since that the command blocks that work by dimension use range rather than actually like just at A or such, or with certain teams and such. So as a consequence, that means that they're dimension specific. So let me just talk about the errors, and that is interesting. One moment. Okay, there we go. Apparently that teleported me into the side. That's odd. I may have to expand this area a little bit. But expanding this ball isn't much of an issue, it's just MC edit. So the main problems that happen with this is, the first and most obvious is that if you're not careful, I'm currently running in peaceful, but if you're not careful, pretty much every dungeon you could possibly hope to make gets swarmed by endermen. Kind of an issue. So one thing that you might want to, that I will probably be doing anyways, is having it if there is anyone inside. Yep, there they are. If there is anyone inside of the end, which you can do again by using a range, then turn off natural mob spawning. And another problem is the sky, and consequently also the lighting. You'll notice in here there is absolutely no lighting, but it's bright as day in here. Which I believe means that the end actually has all bright lighting. Which means you don't have, like, shadowy dark areas or anything, you just have that kind of thing. That's a little bit of a problem. I suppose you could simulate it by using blindness, but blindness is presently binary. It's either on or off, and you can't really vary it at all. That would be nice. And of course the next one is the sky is, well, not remotely human. I'm kind of playing that off in Delta as being what the interior of the Free Lines looked like, but it could be an issue for anyone who wants to try and use this kind of idea in some other kind of setting. But yeah, this is also a problem when you delete this, when you delete the end island. But yeah, it's an interesting idea, and I hope you've enjoyed my little brief explanation of it. It's fairly straightforward. You just have to sort of hoodwink the end for your purposes. But after that, it's fairly straightforward. So, I hope you enjoyed this little video on the stuff that goes into Delta, and I'll catch you next time. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and or a favourite. Follow me on Twitter and subscribe to be notified of future updates. You can also check out the website where most other content is uploaded. That's all for now, catch you later.